All right. Hopefully y'all can hear me okay. Hopefully this works. I don't know. We'll figure it out as we go. Feels weird to not be driving with music, but whatever. Just giving people a few minutes to trickle in before I kind of get started with actual talking, and also trying to get on the highway without dying right now because people are idiots. But those of y'all that are in the stream, y'all able to hear me okay? Hope so. I'm just using my iPhone speaker for right now. Yeah. All right. Am I good? Yes, I am. Cool. So, anyways, yeah, I guess I'll just start talking and kind of hopefully things will pick up as people trickle in at least a little bit. So yeah, I'm James. For those of you who haven't seen me on camera before, aka Shimwrecker. This live stream is I'm going to try and make this a more regular thing. For those of y'all that have been following the channel for a bit, I had done a video, I want to say it was back in like late February, maybe early March. It was right before COVID happened. It was called Area Check, and it was essentially a kind of just a sit down quick like commentary video. What's up, Bill? Just kind of a quick like commentary video where I can do more than just ball reviews. You know, talking about what equipment I'm using, why I'm using it, other stuff that comes up, you know, tournaments coming up like what I'm on the way to today, and just kind of a little more freeform and educational, and not just telling you about also new equipment, which is still something I want to do. But I definitely also think that this channel is going to be more than just a ball video channel, if that makes sense. You know, when I started out doing this, the idea was that I would be not just creating ball videos, but yeah, I've always approached buying equipment, you know, even if you look at stuff I've put out on Reddit over the past several years over on the bowling subreddit, it's all been very practically focused, you know, not just like here's how these two balls fit together, but you know, here's how you would build an arsenal, here's how you would use an arsenal, and here's when and why you would want various pieces around for different use cases. What's up, Biddle? So that's kind of the idea behind this, is this Mobilized series. You know, I'm on the road most weekends bowling something, and so this will kind of give me a chance to use time that I'm already using for traveling to bowling, and it kind of ties everything together. So that's the idea behind this stream, and you know, doing this as a more regular thing. So I got a windshield mount for my phone, so it's just sitting right there, and I can pretty much just look right over. It's basically at eye level while I'm driving, so it's not like I'm having to look way down here or something like that. So where to start for today? I guess the first thing is So I'm on the way. I live in Raleigh, North Carolina, which is kind of pretty centrally located. I'm on the road right now to a town called Wilson. It's just under an hour east of Raleigh. Well, it's an hour away from my apartment, but I'm on the other side of Raleigh. So I'm bowling a 5-man handicap team event. So the center that I bowled at some previously, some smaller. It's I guess probably a mid-sized center. I think it's 24 lanes. What's up, Angel? Has anybody else said anything I missed? No, they have not. So I'm bowling this. You can see, I guess, my Sub-Zero jersey. That's my team that I'm on for UBA now, the Underground Bowling Association. So I'm actually bowling this tournament with 4 of my teammates from Sub-Zero. So it'll be a fun time. They're great people. I think we'll be able to work pretty well together. And you know, it's a fun center and one that I've had a decent amount of success at in the past. So I'm cautiously I'm optimistic that I personally will be able to succeed, and I'm hopeful that we as a team will be able to succeed and hopefully make some money this weekend. So the format, I think it's not a super long format tournament. Still have the belt? Yes, I do. I have not defended it since I talked to you, actually, Keith. It's I think because this is November. Yeah, I've had the belt. It'll be a year next weekend that I will have had the belt, and I've only defended it 1, 2, 3 times. So, so yeah, crap. I meant to bring the belt. I forgot it. It's at home. So, oops. But yes, I do still have the Southeast Heavyweight belt that Keith referenced in the chat. For those of you that aren't aware, it's basically the UBA has a bunch of singles ranking series you can participate in. You bowl a best of 7 match heads up once a month versus a predetermined opponent, and if you win enough matches, you get a shot at basically a wrestling style championship belt, which declares you as the current champion for that ladder in that region. So I'm the oh, you're good, Keith. I'm the Southeast. I'm the heavyweight champ, which is the highest, like the uncapped average range singles. I'm the heavyweight champ for the UBA Southeast region. So that's I've held that since mid-November of last year, and I'm supposed to be defending it once a month, but because bowling basically didn't happen for most of this year on a UBA level, I haven't had to defend it. So I think I'm gonna set the record for. I think if I can hold it through December, I think I will have the record for the longest reign with the heavyweight belt, which is kind of cool. Until Kyle, shut up, Bill. Kyle actually used to be in the series, but he's not anymore. So, yeah, if he does get to me, I'll probably just surrender at that point. Anyways, back to the tournament at hand. So, the tournament format is you bowl 3 regular games on the pair you start on. So that'll be 3 games of 10 to a pair. So there'll be a pretty good amount of transition. And then you move 1 pair to the right, and then I don't remember how many Baker games we bowl. I want to say it's 3 or 4. But you bowl, yeah, as a 5-man team, you move a pair to the right, and then you bowl X number of Baker games. And then basically, after the regular plus the Baker games, I think they cut to like a top 3 or top 4 step ladder. It's a 24-lane center, and it's full for this tournament. So there's 24 teams. So I'm pretty sure they usually pay these guys that are running this tournament usually pay 1 and 8. So that is my guess, is that it'll be a top 3 step ladder, and that will be the cash line. I think there's going to be some pretty solid bowlers out there, and hopefully there's a decent amount of side action and brackets as well. But there's a couple good dudes that are running this. I've bowled some of their stuff in the past, and you know, they're good friends of mine, and it should be a fun time. So then that kind of dovetails into a strategic discussion, kind of talking about what I've got in the trunk with me right now. Sorry, got to get my fix. So in the trunk is literally zero surprises. I've got my main travel bag, which is Phase 2, Axiom Pearl, Astrophysics, IQ Tour Solid, High Road Pearl, and my spare ball, which is it's a Storm Mix now. Just because I got tired of actual plastic cracking on me so much. So I've got those back there, and then I also grabbed my my 2-ball, stealing the phrase from Luke, my oh heck bag, which right now is my pin down physics and a pin up hustle ink. So those are the two, like, realistically, I'm going to be close on almost anything with that core 5+ spare bag. Oh, hey, Barb. I'm going to be close with pretty much anything from that 5+ spare, but if they're really weird, or like if they're flooded, I've got the physics if I need it. And if I can't get my IQ Tour Solid and my High Road Pearl through the pins, but I still need a weaker core symmetrical ball, then I've got the Hustle Ink available too, with a different cover on it. So that's the arsenal. I think I saw someone ask, do I know what the pattern is? Not officially, but I'm about 99% sure it's their house shot, which is actually another kind of good segue question into my strategy for the day. So the lane surface at this place is, if any of y'all have bowled there, it's Westview Lanes in Wilson, North Carolina. The lane surface, they've got AMF HPLs for their lane surface. I'm pretty sure they're overlays. So it's a pretty high friction surface, but they put down a pretty substantial amount of oil in the middle of the lane. So it starts out very soupy and pretty tight down lane on the fresh, but in the past, especially, later in a block, it can get really overcliffed where you miss in to a massive puddle of oil, then you get it going to the right, and then it just hits a ton of friction and jackknifes on you. So managing that is something that's always been kind of you got to kind of keep that in the back of your mind as you're transitioning. Use your closure solid all night. I can see that. It's like you need responsive stuff, because weirdly, even though they put down a ton of volume, it still feels like it's difficult to get very strong covers through the front part of the lane. Like when I've bowled there in the past, I actually haven't used stuff like my Phase 2 very often, just because it feels like it actually starts using up and reading the lane a little bit in the heads, and so then that essentially mutes and dulls my ball reaction down lane, and I can't get it through the pins. So I'll usually either some combination of throwing cleaner covers, like just kind of going in, I'm thinking that if they play like they normally do, I'm thinking my Astrophysics and my Axiom Pearl will probably be the orders of the day, just because of that head friction I mentioned. But if I need to blend it out a little more, I can also, and I've done this as well, is take a stronger cover, like in this case probably my IQ Tour Solid, a little more cover, a little less core, versus something like an Astro or an Axiom Pearl, and actually loft it over the heads just to kind of help it store a little more energy, but then I'm throwing a slower, smoother ball to help blend things out down lane. So those are kind of the main, and just from experience of bowling in this building, those are kind of the main tricks that I know work there. So basically, I'm probably not going to be able to play very straight, because this is one of those buildings too where there's at least I get the impression there's a fairly defined track area. There's a lot of friction, like between second and third arrow out to 7, 8, 9 down lane at like 40 to 45 feet. And in centers like that, usually if I try to play right or I try to play on top of it, I have a very bad time. So yeah, that's the game plan. I'm on lanes 1 and 2 today, which I've actually never bowled on before in this building. So it's right by the side door, which is not a huge door, but it is on a wall. And I don't know if they oil the lane when they run the lanes. I don't know if they normally start on 1 and 2 or 23 and 24. But if they start on 1 and 2, usually the first couple of lanes that they run will hook more because they're still burning in the buffer for the lane machine. And so either the buffer's not going to be burnt in, or they run the lanes twice, in which case the back ends are going to be stripped twice, which means it's going to hook a lot more. So pretty much either way you slice it, if we're bowling on the pair they start oiling on, I'm expecting it's going to hook a ton. And obviously aside from that, usually end pairs have some weird topography going on because they're next to a wall and not next to other lanes. So I'm kind of keeping that in mind as well. But really, you know, even with that, like, you hear me talking about general concepts of kind of how I'm approaching this and how I'm expecting to manage my ball motion, manage my reaction throughout the day. But it's general concepts. Like, I know parallel moves tend to work a lot better than big angle change moves because of that overclip that I mentioned. And so you actually make the parallel moves kind of blend out that friction a little bit more. So hopefully it goes pretty well. Angel, if you're still watching, I do apologize. I did not bring the green ball with me. I was seriously considering it, but number one, it hasn't really looked good in this building in the past. Number two, if I need the emerald, I'll be able to get close. It's probably going to be close enough that I can strike decently well with my RST PhysiX or my high road pearl instead, which, you know, all three have the same cover. And number three, I wanted to have a cover stock offset on the weaker side of my bag, because, you know, I've got 3 R2S balls in my bag, in my main 6-ball bag right now, with the IQ Solid, the Astro, and the High Road Pearl. So I figured even just bringing a different cover formula would kind of help round things out a little bit more than adding a different core but staying in that same cover for another ball. So let's try and catch up on questions a little bit. Do I know the pattern? Yes. Paying 1 and 6. Oh, nice. Yeah, what did I just broke something. Go away. There we go. Do I know the pattern? Yes. It is on a house shot. Been there many times. Never bowled there. Yep. It's a fun place. It's a fun little center. Tenacity was good. Yep. How dare you? Apologize to Angel. Yes, Angel, I'm sorry. Kyle I looked at the roster and I didn't see Kyle. Don't think Kyle was on there. So I should be okay. It was actually really funny. I was bowling next to him at a tournament last weekend. He started with his Emerald, and I started with my Axiom Pro, and we had a $50 side bet on series on our 5-game total. So he goes like, he stoned at least 5 9-pins in the first 2 games. Meanwhile, I go 260 with my Axiom Pearl. So finally, he's like, screw it, I'm pulling out my Axiom Pearl right at the same time as I ball change back to my Emerald, so I can, for essentially zone play considerations, which in retrospect might have not been the best play in the world. So that was kind of a humorous little thing that he started with the green ball and then got away from it, and I went to the green ball, which, for those of you who aren't aware, Kyle beat my face in a best of 7 for $1,000 back in July with the green ball, and I had no answer for it. So he's kind of good. So in case you weren't aware. So yeah, that's my general strategy for the day. Just gonna try and keep it simple and make quality shots and hope for the best. I'm on a crazy string right now. I think from October 27th to the present, I think I've got 34 games of competition under my belt, and I'm something like 99 for 101 on a couple spares, or no, it's even more than that. So I've shot almost 100 single pins, so it's probably like 108 for 110 or something like that in my last 34 games of bowling. So, like, honestly, as long as I can leave makeable stuff and fill frames, that's going to really improve my game-to-game floor and kind of keep me out of trouble. Let's see, what else to talk about? Are there any other... Talk to gameplay. Yep. Yes. Learning how to identify when to make angle moves and when to make parallel moves is something I'm trying to get better at. I think I did get too aggressive with angle moves in the past. So I've been trying to get away from that a little more. Like, when making more like, instead of like, oh, I have 4 pins, let me go 3 and 2 left. Because that used to be like my default move off of a 4-pin, and then I'd create a lot more angle issues for myself. Now I'm trying to make smaller moves and just kind of stay in and around the pocket rather than chase like perfect ball motion and perfect pin carry. Because bowling isn't a game of how. It's a game of how many. And that kind of remembering that and kind of beating that into my head to the point that it's kind of instinctual from an adjustment and lane play management perspective is something I've been really trying to work on. Let's see, what else? Oh yeah, so for those of you that aren't aware, I was one of the channels that had the subscriber giveaway thing that Luke Rosedal put together. And so my giveaway items were a bottle of True Blue ball cleaner and a Storm chamois at 1,500 subscribers, and then a current line bowling ball, current line stateside ball of your choice at 2,000 subs. Is that falling down on me or something? No, I'm good. So I actually didn't. This kind of snuck up on me. I think I crossed 1,500 subs late last month, which is honestly huge. And thank you all for subscribing. So I'm going to, probably tonight or tomorrow, I'm going to actually do the drawing for the giveaway. And so keep an eye on your email inbox for a notification about that if you are the winner. And I will probably post a brief video on my channel tomorrow announcing that as well. Just kind of follow up on that front. So we are now, I think, just over 400 subscribers away from 2,000, which is where the ball giveaway will happen. So that is that's exciting. It's been really cool to see the channel grow. I know I haven't been the greatest about putting out consistently timed content, shall we say. But still, to kind of get the reception that I have on these videos is pretty awesome. So thank you all for that. Is there anything else I need to talk about? Well, for the 10 of you that are watching right now, I guess if y'all have any questions or things you want to hear me talk about a little bit, then I guess fire away. I'm going to drink a little bit of coffee because I've been talking for, what, 25 minutes now straight. So, and also, try to not die because people don't know how to drive. What, Barb? I'm not bowling famous, so leave me alone. How much does your strategy change based on who you're up against? It's going to change a little bit depending on the situation. So, like today, I'm bowling 3 games of 5-man team. My team has 3 lefties, so that means there's only 2 righties on my team, and I've got way more rev rate than the other righty. So I know all of that going in, and I also know that the team we're crossing with is a little bit lower skill. I think they have a combined like 930 average for a 5-man team. So generally, if they're averaging that, I'm expecting they're not going to have a ton of rev rate. So I'm going to generally, I'm going to assume in a situation like this that there's going to be a lot of play in the track area. So I'm going to kind of going in, pretty much the only thing I've got in my head right now of specific strategic decisions for today is that I want to make sure, because I'm expecting I'm going to be the only one hooking it a whole lot. And so in a situation like that, I want to make sure. All right, Rook, good talking to you, man. I want to make sure that I don't get my angles too far open, because I'm going to be moving into extremely fresh oil pretty much all day. And so I've kind of got that expectation in my head. This is 70, I think it is. But at the same time, I don't want to get too much on top of everybody else where there's going to be a whole lot of traffic, which could make my moves a little bit bigger if I'm too much on top of them. So usually most of the time, if I'm on a pair with not as much rev rate, then I'll try and just get a little bit left of everybody else and just kind of inch left as I need to throughout the day. Then there's kind of opposite situations where even for as much rev rate as I have, I can play pretty far right relative to most other people. Even on house shot now with some of the tricks I've been working on developing. So there are times where, if I see, three, a really good example is a tour stop that I bowled for my bowling federation team last year, which was another travel bowling type organization. The three guys that I was up against on the other team all started at like 4th arrow in practice. And so when I see guys starting that far left, I know that the middle of the lane is going to get destroyed very, very easily, or very, very quickly, and get very choppy. And so when I see that, I'll actually try and figure out a way to stay away from that. Because if I try and play with them, I'm going to have to move every 3 frames. That's going to make things a lot more complicated. And it's not going to be as predictable. So like what I did in that case is I actually had I think this was one of the times where I had multiple phase 2s with me, one fresh and one really worn in. So I took my worn in phase 2 that was really lane shine, I just moved right and threw it hard the entire time and essentially tried to stay away from them. So those are kind of a couple of examples where I might alter my overall strategy based on what I see other people doing very early on in the day. And obviously all of this is very fluid too. Like there are some times where I'll start playing right and then that'll just go away, and when it does, I know I have to move like literally 15 boards left and essentially milk as much time as I can from this kind of alternate strategy. And once that's gone, then I have to go back and kind of get back in the status quo to get a little more, ironically, a little more predictability. So yeah, it'll change somewhat. How much it changes really depends on how familiar I am with the center and how familiar I am with how my stuff reacts to that center. So like if I was going in blind, what I see other people doing is essentially like, if I see someone like 3rd arrow with throwing surface, I'm not going to try and start right of them and chase that. I'm going to try and start left of them and use their transition as a little bit of a buffer, or a little bit of a bumper to kind of bounce off of as the lanes develop. So, and then there's situations like if I'm bowling a match in the UBA heavyweight series, which my opponent for, I think my next defense is going to be in about a month from now. My opponent has not a whole lot of rev rate. He's one of those guys, he's kind of like, imagine Norm Duke meets Richie Allen almost in terms of skill set. Like not a ton of rev rate, but he's like probably one of the best bowlers I've ever seen at making a ball not hook, which is an odd thing to say, but it basically means like he's really, really good at just kind of playing up 10 and kind of walking it into the pocket, and somehow all the pins fall down. So he's who I'm bowling against next month. It's at a center that doesn't hook a ton, and which is also a place where I've had some success in the past. So my my general idea going in is I actually want to play on top of him to start, because if I can make him move and if I can blow up his area, then I'll be able to essentially dictate his transition to him. Where, you know, and that's something that I try to use to my advantage when I can, is, you know, with a higher rev rate like I've got, you know, bowling in head-to-head matches, I'm usually going to have a higher rev rate than the other guy. And so that can kind of give me an advantage to a certain extent, because I can dictate their moves to them by how I play the lane. And so that's an option that I have, essentially, is the ability to do that. So for someone like bowling against Josh, I'm probably going to start a little further right and try and get on top of him with something, you know, something like an IQ 2 or solid, you know, not a ton of cover, not a ton of core, but a pretty good amount of surface. And essentially try and really beat up the track area starting just left of him and make him have to move and have to, like, I want to get it to where he has to throw it perfect to strike. And if I can do that in a game and win the game, then I think I have a pretty good chance of winning the match. So that's the thought there. If I'm bowling against a lefty, then that changes things considerably, because we're going to be on the opposite sides of the lane. And so I'll essentially, then it'll be a different strategy even then, because I'll be just trying to save the lane a little bit on the fresh, you know, not trying to start at like 4th arrow with charcoal and just to pop off one big game, because it's a best of 7 match. And so then I'll actually, you know, I might throw surface, but if I do, it'll be from further right. And that's to kind of try and develop the lane into something that'll be more playable for myself as they transition and develop throughout the course of the match. So it's definitely a different metagame when I'm bowling head-to-head matches versus, you know, in a tournament where you're crossing with 6 or 8 people, or even 10 on a pair. And if you're moving pairs, then that brings a whole nother set of considerations into play. But I guess that's kind of a little bit of, I guess, I hope that makes sense. The match against Bryson, yeah. Well, that's because he did throw literal charcoal over 4th arrow trying to make me move. And then I did move and struck even more. But that's the thing, is like, it's my bag of tricks is deep enough that it's honestly pretty hard to completely block me out on house shot. Yeah, it's still not working. So knowing that I have that bag of tricks is the past few months have honestly been kind of trying to simplify that a little bit, to kind of distill it down to stuff that'll keep me in play, rather than trying to get really, really like cute and fancy and try to get my ball knifing through, you know, splitting the 8-9 every single shot. What if someone is throwing urethane? So what urethane does, and when you say urethane, I'm gonna assume that you're talking about something like a purple hammer, like a pitch black, the fast pitch flares a little more, but urethane that doesn't flare. So, because here's the thing, is people assume all urethane is bad because it creates carry down. The reason urethanes like the black hammer, the purple hammer, pitch black, stuff like that, the reason they create carry down, well, and the pitch purple, because I forgot that has the same core as the pitch black. The reason they create carry down is not because of the cover stock. It's because the core flares so little that you're essentially tracking over the exact same part of ball the entire way down the lane. And so what that actually does is that tracking over that same patch of ball the entire way down the lane is what deposits that oil further down the lane. So if you're throwing a hot cell, I don't care, because it's flaring 5 inches. If you're throwing a tropical surge, or like, let's say you're throwing a tropical surge drilled with a really weak pin to pap, it's probably going to flare that much, which means you're going to be creating a lot more carry down. So I'm more worried about someone throwing a tropical surge with pin on axis than I am with pin on your PAP than I am about someone throwing a hot cell. Like, and it's not close. I've crossed with people who are throwing a hot cell and didn't realize it until game 3, because I looked down at the rack and saw, oh, that's a hot cell. push it creates carry down type of transition, is I will try to get, if I'm close to them in the front probably, I will try to get away from that. So instead, because they're going to be creating friction in the fronts, which is going to destroy my own ball reaction. So I want to get away from that friction in the fronts that they're creating. But then I also know that as they create carry down, my downlane motions going to become more and more muted, and I can rely on that less and less as time goes on. So I'll actually use forward off my hand, and that's to kind of keep my ball to make my ball be as predictable as I can get it to be down lane, so I can have some consistency of how the ball's hooking up to the lane. I will generally try to read pins, and I'll try and soften up my speed a little bit. So the soft speed is to kind of give the ball a little more time, a little more of a chance to actually hook up to the lane and be able to roll through the pins properly. And then at that point, I'm just essentially, like, I'm not going to be, as strange as this sounds, I'm almost not going to be playing for like monster games. Like if I get one, awesome, but I'm essentially playing the smash the pocket, and my worst case scenario is a 9 spare at that point, because you're going to create a lot of carry down. It's going to inhibit, or like there's going to be a lot of carry down created. It's going to inhibit your pin carry somewhat, and so then it's just a matter of hitting the pocket and keeping yourself in play as much as anything else. So it can be tricky sometimes, but that's generally how I'll approach that if someone is throwing urethane. Thankfully, the place where I'm going today, urethane does not look very good, so fingers crossed that doesn't happen with anybody that we cross with today. Any other questions? Oh yeah, the other thing I wanted to talk about is the 3 new balls that are coming out from Storm and Roto Grip. Roto has 2 balls. The RST X-1 is a sanded hybrid ASIM in their HP4 line, and the Idol Synergy is the other one. It's another ball in the Idol series, so it's got that same icon cork, but it's an updated version of the E-Trax cover in hybrid form this time in shiny. So I've got those 2 plus the Proton PhysiX, which is Axiom cover, which is NEX solid, plus the atomic core from the physics and the astrophysics. I've got all those there on a truck with Mr. FedEx Man somewhere right now. Those are being delivered Monday, so I'm looking forward to getting those drilled up and get a chance to throw them. Initial kind of impressions of what I see is the Proton PhysiX is exactly what you would think it is when you hear Axiom cover physics core. Like, it literally looks like an average of those 2 balls from what I've seen of it so far. I'm going to be laying my Proton PhysiX and my RST are both going to have the exact same layout as my physics, which is 4.5 by 4.5 by 4, which puts the pin below my middle finger, and the mass kicked probably about 1.5 inches to 2 inches right of my grip center line. So that's my go-to layout for big block sanded ASIMs, just because I get into a lot of angle issues when I use pinup layouts on big ASIM cores. So just trying to kind of maximize the range of use there a little bit. What else? The Idol, yeah. So the Idol Synergy, I'm going to do something a little different on that one. I'm actually, I think I'm going to go pin down on that ball as well. Just because, number one, I have that same layout on an original Idol, and I like the shape it makes down lane. It's just a little too much cover. And number 2, I don't have any pin down shiny symmetrics in my massive pile of gear that I've got right now. So that kind of snuck up on me a little bit. But also, and this is kind of the big part and why I wanted to get into this, is that Idol Synergy looks like it booms a ton. Like astrophysics trend levels of boom down lane, which honestly kind of excites me a little bit, because I very much wanted to like my Idol Pearl, but it just felt a little too like slow and smooth down lane for how clean it was. So I think that more at least, and this is just going off of what I've seen, obviously I haven't thrown it yet, so this is subject to change, but the that like boomier, more responsive cover, but still a rolly core, and drilling it pinned down to kind of blend that a little bit, I think will give me a pretty unique reaction that I'm looking forward to taking out and giving a try. So all three of those should be here Monday. I'm going to try and drill them as soon as I can, and my next week is really busy, so I don't know when I'll be able to actually get video out. But I am driving down to Rock Hill, South Carolina for the Rock Hill Classic next weekend. So by then, I'll be able to talk a little bit about the balls because I will have thrown them, and I'll probably have at least 2 of them in the trunk with me for that weekend because that is at a pretty low friction center. So, anywho, that is pretty much everything I had to talk about. I've got, what, probably another 5 or 10 minutes driving time before I get to the center. So, yeah, I guess if y'all have any other questions, fire away. I'm going to drink some more coffee, because I've been talking a lot. When are you drilling a pro motion? Probably never again. I hated that ball. Oh, okay. Yeah. Jokes. Yeah. I did not get along. I just don't get along with spec very well, honestly. And granted, this was before I was working a lot on really rolling the ball and getting the ball into the lane smoother and really blending the lane out that way. So I think that was part of the issue of why I didn't like spec that much. But at the same time, like, even if I were to drill a pro motion, like, I have a very hard time seeing that kicking my IQ Tour Solid or my Phase 2 out of my travel bag. And plus, I mean, it's discontinued at this point. So I know it's a joke question, but still a semi-serious answer is probably never again. I didn't like that ball. I do, however, really like that core. I've got a trend. Actually, I left kind of a stay behind 3-ball roller with Luke and Angel out in Kansas City, or out in Topeka, because I go out there for enough tournaments. So my stay behind bag that I left with them was a pin up Phase 2, a pin down trend, and a spare ball. So I actually really, really like how that core behaves. And the trend is a ball that I both love and frustrates me at the same time, because shiny R2S Pearl, therefore I'm probably going to like it. And I really like how that core responds as well. But the odd thing is kind of, the ball is exactly what you would think it is on paper. It's literally an average of the Astro PhysiX and the High Road Pearl, which hopefully I'm going to get my trend video released next week. And so you'll actually be able to see this in person, because those are the 2 balls I compared it to. So I really like how it reacts, but the gap from my Astro PhysiX to my High Road Pearl is small enough and nuanced enough that I don't really feel like I ever need a ball in the middle of those two. And if I do, I've got my IQ Tour Solid that can get the job done pretty well in that role. So I would really want to like it, but it almost feels like a ball without a home, if that makes sense, which is kind of unfortunate, because it's a very fun ball to throw. It looks great. It rolls great. You know, it's one of those balls where I find myself saying, I wish I had a chance to throw this more. But then when it comes down to it and I'm packing for a tournament weekend, it's kind of in this odd place where it's never actually the right ball for me to be packing, unless I'm literally bringing 10 or 11 balls for a house shot tournament, which I don't really do ever. So yeah, I think a lot more people would be a lot more bullish on the trend if it didn't have the Belmo logo on it, because the first 3 Belmo balls were a little more kind of niche, shall we say, and not really what a lot of people expected they were. And the elevated price point is a little unfortunate too. So that's a bummer, but I still think I think the trend is a fantastic ball. Am I correct in thinking the old Crossroads is the same as the High Road? I think so. I know the core from the Crossroad to the High Road line is very, 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 very close, if not identical. I don't remember the cover on the Crossroad. I know it's R2S. I don't remember if it's Pearl or hybrid. If it's a hybrid, then yes, the OG High Road is going to be the comparison. If it's a Pearl, then that's basically, you'd be looking at a High Road Pearl as your replacement ball. Which honestly, oh yeah, that's something else I wanted to say about the Synergy is, you know, the original Daredevil is really, really good, but also kind of blendy. And the Daredevil Danger was a shiny hybrid where the Daredevil was a shiny Pearl. And the Danger almost felt like quicker and a little bit heavier downlane, like heavier rolling downlane, and a little more defined. And so I'm actually kind of hoping that the Synergy does that same thing relative to the original Idol, because I think that'll bring the Synergy a little more into like a good window of use of where I'd want to be using a ball like that. Like just setting it up, pinned down, plus that core, I think might blend it enough to where I might honestly get kind of close to a Marvel Pearl type of reaction, just a little bit cleaner and quicker. So I don't know, that's my hope. I haven't seen a ton of any of the new stuff yet, so I'm still I'm spitballing a little bit, admittedly, but I am at the same time very, very excited, honestly, to throw all three of them. I've seen some RST videos and it's looked really, really good. It's got this weird core shape, which I'm chalking that up to Slim the Mad Scientist striking again. But that plus a fairly familiar cover blend that we've seen on a lot of stuff, you know, Idol, Halo, UFO, all of those have had Microtracks solid on them. I think this is the first time we've had Microtracks hybrid, stateside at least. So given that Microtracks and NRG share a lot of reaction traits, I'm thinking this will be this might be NRG hybrid-ish. It does look a little blendier than like a physics type ball. So I don't know, maybe best case scenario is the RST, and this is kind of crazy to think about, but it might be a more throwable physics for me. So I'm really looking forward to testing that one out a little more. And bowling next weekend at the Rock Hill Classic, I'll have a chance to actually get some shots with it in a center where standard ASIMs have looked very, very, very good for me in the past. So yeah, I guess, oh, that was a big bump. Is this my turn? Yes, it is. So I guess, any other questions before I call it a day? I don't think I missed anything. Yep, I'm good. Oh, sweet, it's only 11:48. I've got time to go find a bite to eat somewhere. Good luck today. Thanks, man. It should be fun. I'm just gonna kind of like, that's something I'll probably talk more about in future streams, is like, the more you can treat a tournament like just another day of bowling, I legitimately think the better off you'll be. You know, like I'm going in today, like obviously I want to go like all Hulk smash mode and destroy everything and everyone, but at the same time, you know, it's just the same as if I'm bowling league, where I have to take it, you know, just one shot at a time and, you know, follow the process, make quality shots, trust my moves, and hope for the best result I can. You know, you can't literally win everything. But do I ever use 2-inch pin layouts? I have not messed with that very much. I drilled one ball 2 1/4 back before COVID happened, I think, or it might have been during COVID actually. It was a UFO, and I don't know. I can sort of see the value of setting up a ball like that, but I think doing it on that ball that has that cover. Actually, I'm going to park back here. Doing it on that ball with that cover is, I think it was too much cover, because it would just hook too much and then lay off too much down lane. So that was a little bit unfortunate. I don't know. It's something I would like to try again at some point, but at the same time, I don't really have a whole lot of time to practice right now. So it's kind of a situation of like, I would like to try it at some point again, but I don't know when I will have time to give it a fair shake. So until I have that time and not a pile of 50 bowling balls in my room, I'm probably not going to chase that again anytime soon. So yeah, I guess that is pretty much all I've got for y'all. Just got to the bowling alley, so I'm going to try and find some food, and I think we bowl in about an hour. So it has been fun, y'all. Thanks so much for watching. It's been a lot of fun. I hope y'all have enjoyed it, and hopefully I have a chance to do more of these in the coming months. So until then, good luck and good bowling.